those of you that have been watching me for a long time know that I've pretty much made these NXT reviews the tentpole of this channel. Obviously, I do some AEW stuff with Guapo. I do some extra NXT stuff with Jake. I do the movie stuff with Kristen, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But you'll know, if you follow me long enough, that I'm one of the few people that has actually thought NXT was a little bit better since they came to regular television, since they went 2 hours, went to a somewhat broader audience, expanded out the show. You got a little bit more mid-card action. You got a couple more titles now. We adopted the Cruiserweight title around the same time. I think overall, and yes, there are some downsides. Yes, it gives us more wrestling to watch. But overall, I've thought that the show, not being on TV, made it better. But since the show has gone 2 hours and has gone on TV, it has been better. Now, the downside was, unless I wanted to be sketchy, we couldn't watch it in Canada. Because what was happening is, for my friends in the States, I know you guys get Raw and NXT on the USA Network and SmackDown on Fox. Our exclusive carrier here in Canada, or at least here in Ontario, is Sportsnet 360. Sportsnet 360 carries Raw and SmackDown. So when the differences between those two brands happened, it was absolutely hilarious. Oh, it's USA versus Fox. I'm like, no, it's Sportsnet 360 versus Sportsnet 360. But when that all happened, when NXT moved from the network to television, we did not get a Wednesday night slot. What did we get instead? We got a 1 hour condensed version of NXT 2 days later, an hour before SmackDown. And I don't know about you, that was really, really unacceptable to me. I was watching shitty American streams that cut a lot. I ran my Chromecast into the ground, and it was just bad, and it led to a whole lot of reviews that went something like, and then the stream froze because we don't have NXT in Canada because WWE doesn't love us, etc., etc., etc. And then on Monday this week, on February 22nd, 2021, I get a tweet, or I get tagged in a tweet from longtime listener Strife19, so shout out to Strife19. Hey, Spaz, check this out. And it is a joint tweet from WWE and Sportsnet. They have re-upped their TV deal, which is fine and wonderful, and I don't care how WWE really does their deals, but we are actually going to have NXT live on Wednesdays, like we're a real country that likes wrestling as well. And that's really good. For a lot of reasons. A, the streams that I was watching, and I always told you guys, go to Bolly Rules, go to Watch Wrestling 24, they were good for what they were, but I'm not going to sit here hunched over my computer, so I got my Chromecast, and I'm watching it on my TV over there. You can't see it, I don't know why I'm pointing. For those of you listening, I look like an idiot, it's fine. The streams sucked. The streams were such poor quality. By the time I got to watching a takeover, it was like taking my glasses on and off with how bad the quality was, and the streams died a lot, and they got cut quite a lot, and you had to switch sources and all that sort of thing. The other thing for me, you know, especially when the picture-in-picture basically made the show non-stop, is you couldn't pause it for any reason at all. I mean, anybody with a cable box knows you can pause the TV shows and all that sort of thing. So there's a lot that I couldn't do. I basically cut that 2 hours out of my life, and if I caught it, I caught it, and if I didn't, I didn't. So yeah, so that's pretty awesome. So we have NXT properly now in Canada, and it's really, really weird because the, the little watermark in the corner of the screen where you see the WWE logo, where you see the NXT logo, is now overlapped with the SN360 logo, so that's interesting. And because it's not a shitty stream, it's like I just got a new pair of glasses watching the show, so I'm a really, really happy guy. Now, separate from that, on Tuesday, Disney Plus up here in Canada dropped Stars, which is equally awesome because apparently us and the UK are the only ones that can't have Hulu for whatever reason. I know everybody in the States, everybody everywhere else got Disney Plus and Hulu, so Disney Plus had all the kid, family-friendly, Marvel, Star Wars, all that kind of shit, and then all the adult content, all the ABC content, all the Fox content, all the R-rated movies, Deadpool specifically, went on to Hulu, and then we didn't get that. So, for whatever reason, we can't have Hulu here, so instead of giving us 2 services instead of 1, they just threw a little extra chapter in there, gave us Stars, which is like 200 extra shows, 500 extra movies, and a little hint, a little spoiler. One of the movies that is included in this library is a movie that I don't actually have on my shelf, and it's a movie that Kristen and I are going to be reviewing very, very soon. If you've been paying attention to the next trilogy that she and I are going to be reviewing, there's your hint. So, we got NXT in Canada, finally, on Monday. We got Stars on Tuesday, and I got my first actual good, decent episode of NXT tonight. And it's really good. And all things being equal, I should be sitting down with my buddy, my pal Jake DeMarco, for a very, very fun video that should be going out Friday, if everything goes according to plan and if everything works out on his end and my end, etc. So it's a very, very good week in wrestling, in TV, in entertainment. I can pretend for a week that, you know, we're not still in COVID, we're not still in the ongoing global bastard, we're all still locked down in the prisons that are our houses, etc. Because shit's kinda good. And if NXT was ever gonna get away with giving me a bad show, it would be this week where I'm in a really good mood. But the point is, they didn't. And this was a really good show. So I'm in a really good mood. I've already rambled for 6 minutes and we haven't even gotten to the intro yet. So yes, this is your NXT review. Let's talk about it. One thing that is true as ever is I still can't get a haircut in the COVID era. Look at this fucking mess. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your February 24th, 2021 NXT review. I am going to say very, very quickly, the house cleaning is going to be short, sweet, and to the point. Go back to Tuesday, go back to the immediate previous video or podcast to the one you're listening to right now. Kristen and I finally got back together. You know, the weather in her part of the world actually calmed the fuck down. We reviewed episodes 5, episode 6, and episode 7 of WandaVision. In 2 weeks, we are going to do episode 8 and the finale, and then we're moving on, getting ready for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, etc. Now that you've heard me talk for about 6 minutes already, if you don't already know, if you're sitting here right now watching the pretty sexy face and the gimmick hat, you want to find me in an audio platform, you want to go to your favorite podcasting platform and search Spaz Phoenix Podcast. If you're listening to me in audio right now, you want to find me in a video, you do want to see the pretty sexy face and you do want to see the gimmick hat, you want to go to YouTube, search Spaz Phoenix, go to Twitter, search Spaz Phoenix and Spaz Phoenix 1, go to Instagram, search Spaz Phoenix, go to Facebook and search for the Spaz Phoenix Podcast Facebook group. And if you are watching me on YouTube right now, throw some kind of comment down in the comment section below so that YouTube can stop yelling at me. That's all good. Oh my god, the ramble, the house cleaning / plug the socials ramble is getting quite good, isn't it? It's almost like I got a little bit of Adam Wilborn in me. Shout out to all the folks at What Culture Wrestling, I should say. We start tonight with a very, very cool WWE. I gotta do it with the quotation marks. WWE is very good at video packages, but we do have this video package that is narrated by Scarlett, KARRION, KROSS, and Santos Escobar. It's all black and white footage. It's all the interactions that they've had. It's all the promos that Escobar has cut and all the violent things that KARRION KROSS has done. And it's leading to their non-title, no disqualification match tonight, where if Santos Escobar doesn't show up, he's going to be suspended, he's going to be stripped of his title, rah. Separately from that, I do hope that it eventually leads to us bringing Jordan Devlin and the other Cruiserweight Championship back in. Opening segment was fucking great. What was not at all fucking great, and I've got the notes, but I'm just going to I'm gonna do the Cole's Notes version of this. We got Gargano versus Loomis because NXT insists on putting Loomis on my TV. I'm actually watching it on TV. You could give me a break for 1 week and not throw Loomis in my face. But it's Gargano and Loomis, and the story of this is it's Gargano's got all his guys. I'm not going to go through the match because I don't care. Sorry. I do care about Gargano. I do care about the way. I hate that they're being wasted on Loomis, and I don't care about Loomis in this. Loomis is a charisma vacuum. Now, I know that might be ironic to some people coming from me, but he really is. They're playing up this sort of like Stockholm syndrome where Austin Theory's starting to see things from Loomis's perspective, which is weird. We get this look from Indy Hartwell like she's kind of infatuated with him. So the two younger members of the Way are actually leaning towards Dexter Loomis, which doesn't. It's nothing. Austin Theory eventually goes to hit him with a chair shot. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over my words because I don't care and I want to get past this. He doesn't actually do the chair shot, though. Loomis turns around, hits the silence submission thing on Gargano, and gets the win, I guess, by technical knockout, because the referee calls off the match. Now, if this means that we're going to get Loomis and Gargano on some kind of big show, or if it means we're going to get Loomis and Gargano at a takeover, or if it means that they're even thinking about putting that North American Championship that Gargano is working hard on. You have to acknowledge, even though most of his shit is goofy, he switches into takeover mode when he needs to, and it works. And the more he builds up this faction and the story behind this faction, the more that they can put into that belt. If they're even thinking about putting this on Dexter Loomis, Jesus goddamn Christ. There's a whole lot of no in there. We get a bunch of exposition in the middle after this. I'm just really bothered, and I don't want to deal with the Loomis things, as you can clearly tell. We see Regal in the parking lot looking for Escobar, asking the cameraman if he's seen Escobar. It's sort of contrived because you don't normally leave a camera guy out there in the parking lot just waiting for people to show up. So it is what it is. We go to commentary, where they make a big point of the fact that Wade Barrett is doing commentary by remote, like Beth Phoenix was a while ago. He makes some random joke about being stuck in Dexter Loomis's basement, which just reminds me that Dexter Loomis is a thing. We see another, and this is, I think, the third or fourth weekend in a row that we've done highlight packages / here's the story so far video packages on MSK, and it's interspersed what they've done, it's interspersed the Dusty Classic, it's interspersed the match that they're supposed to get next week, and it's interspersed interviews with them about what things mean to them. Nash Carter talking about how he used to watch wrestling with his dad, and his dad passed away, and it said, okay, I gotta do this type thing. It's just really good. And talking to our good friend Jake DeMarco, I had to share the thought that it's really, really good and cool to see a brand new act in the I should say in the company, but on the brand as well, that they're going all in on from the beginning. And I really do like that. And they're fun, and they're a good group. They're not, you know, I don't know what you want to say. They're not a John Cena. They're not the 6'5", 275 with the crew cut and gonna spew out all the company lines. It's not like that. I know people are sick of them saying like, oh, we're just so happy to be here. But if they are genuinely happy to be here, then it's genuine, and I don't have any problem with that. Coming back from the commercial break, we get a Burger King sponsored video package on my girl Shotzi Blackheart, and you know that's not going to hurt my feelings either. Other than the fact that she wasn't actually on the show tonight. We throw to MSK, who are supposed to have an interview about their match next week against Lorcan and Birch for the titles that they earned by winning the Dusty Classic, and they get jumped by grizzled young veterans, and in the process, Wes Lee injures his hand. More on that later. We go to the back. We see Cameron Grimes watching old videos of the $1 Million Man doing the $1 Million challenges. He's watching it on his tablet. He tries to do it to somebody else. I'll give you $10,000 if you can dribble this ball 10 times. The person dribbles it because he doesn't do the kicking the ball out of the way bit. And the guy even says, "Are you trying to do the $1 Million Man thing?" Yeah, he used to kick the ball out of the way, and that's why it all came to pass. So I get the Grimes thing, and I like the Grimes thing, and it has potential. I'm not going to lie, a lot of the stuff tonight didn't hit. We don't need him to be a carbon copy of the $1 Million Man, and that was basically the gimmick all night tonight. And now we get a really, really very, very short, convoluted story. We throw to earlier in the day in the trainer's room with Malcolm Bivens talking to Leon Ruff, and being really, really condescending and talking about, you know, making him feel like a bit of a loser. It's like, oh, well, why don't you do something about it? Why don't you come out and have a match with my guy tonight? Obviously, he says, yeah. Tyler Russ comes down with Malcolm Bivens. Malcolm Bivens cuts a promo and says some forgettable shit, but he does it well. So it's a little bit half of one, half a dozen of the other. Leon Ruff comes out and does his stupid entrance where he hangs upside down from the ropes like he's a fucking Bella twin and gets his ass handed to him by Swerve for reasons. Swerve carries him by the head to the commentator's table and says, well, seeing as I don't get any opportunities, I'm going to at least make sure this guy doesn't get any more handouts. And then he does, do you remember last week? Obviously you remember last week because you probably watched me last week. That sounds egotistical, doesn't it? Where he did the beatdown after the match, and he did the Death Valley driver into the turnbuckles, and I said that should be a finisher. Well, after he was done berating Leon Ruff to the commentators and you know, sort of stating his case. You know, I don't get any promo time, so I'm just going to take my chance right now to say what I want to say. He did the same sort of Death Valley Driver toss into the apron of the ring. And as somebody from another company will remind you, that is the hardest part of the ring. The whole thing about all this is Leon Ruff is dead on the outside. Swerve leaves. Camera pans back up to Tyler Rust with Malcolm Bivens, who have their hands up in the air like they just won the match. And all of that is great. We go back to another earlier on, actually I think it was the day before, it was William Regal talking to Zoe Stark about how impressive her debut was last week. Now, this is where I'm going to get frustrated again, because Zoe Stark, Gigi Dolan, and Cora Jade, none of them debuted for NXT on NXT. All three of these new signees, I know they just dumped a bunch of other signees today on WWE.com, but these ones have already had matches. They debuted on 205 Live in NXT matches, so they're treating last week like it was her debut. That's fine. And he basically says, you really, really impressed me last week. How about a match with the champ? So that's what we get next. Io Shirai versus Zoe Stark, and this was really good. And this is where, once again, and I mean, yes, I'm sort of biased because they're taking her down a similar path that they took my girl Shotzi Blackheart down. In her early days in NXT, she had a preliminary match with Io Shirai, and at the time, no, you knew she wasn't going to win, but Io Shirai did her best to make Shotzi Blackheart look like $1 million, which I appreciate, and it's pretty much the same thing here. Now, I saw people on Twitter, and this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, well, Io Shirai should have kicked her head off in 10 seconds. Well, what does that do for a debuting talent? What does that do for a debuting talent whatsoever? Anyways, let's call her an elbow tie-up and a kickoff by Shirai to start the match, followed by a takedown. Shirai works on the wrist. There's an arm lock by Stark. I can't say Stark without thinking Iron Man. It's just a thing. Or Game of Thrones. A pair of backdrops by Stark, an abdominal stretch by Shirai, a low drop kick by Shirai, a boot and some corner chops and some knees. The 619 gets blocked and countered into a pump kick by Stark, but there's a boot by Shirai. Stark insiguris Shirai off the top turnbuckle to the floor as we go to the commercial break. And NXT rolls on! I know you guys love that. Some of you hate it, and that's why I'm doing it. Body shots by Shirai as we come back from commercial break. There's a kick to the knee by Stark, armbar by Shirai, a takedown by Stark, and knee strike. Crossbody collision and a half-and-half suplex by Stark. Dumping her right on her head, as they say. Grounded sleeper by Stark. I don't know who says that. It just sounds funny. Shoulder tackles by Shirai. A successful 619 and a missile drop kick. Backdrop by Stark. Drop toe hold into a Hurricane Rana by Shirai. Butterfly backbreaker by Shirai was nice. Side suplex by Stark. Snake eyes on the bottom turnbuckle, followed by the double knees, and the over the moonsault gets the obvious win for Io Shirai. We get a really nice show of respect by Shirai after the match, and you can see Zoe Stark thanking her for the match. I don't know whether it's intentional. I don't know whether it's supposed to be part of her character, part of her storyline. But, you know, if you caught it, you caught it. And if you did it, it doesn't matter. But it's really, really nice to see. And, yeah, two examples on the bounce. MSK has obviously got all of this promotion and time, and clearly they brought them in a big way with the Dusty Classic. Somebody looks upon Zoe Stark's debut, in tight air quotes, and says, you really impressed me last week. Tonight I'm going to put you up against the champ. That's a little bit of a pat on the back, too. Now, I am looking forward to Cora Jade and Gigi Dolan and seeing what they do, because it looks like they're presenting them as an actual tag team, which is good when we talk about other things later on down the line. It's fine. There's a show, like I said, there's a show of respect between the two of them, and obviously they're interrupted by Toni Storm. Toni Storm, who talks a bunch of shit, talks about the pay-per-view, talks about how Io Shirai pinned Mercedes Martinez in that match because she can't pin her, and she points at Zoe Stark and then says, or whatever your name is, literally, Io Shirai, you're going to take on anybody but me. She says, if you are who you say you are, if you've got the guts, go find Regal, give me my match, make it happen. And we get that done later on down the line. We see the way leaving the arena. Gargano's losing his shit. He doesn't want to be interviewed, obviously. Austin Theory just stops him and says, you know, you really shouldn't say all these mean things about Dexter Lumis. He's a nice guy. He's just misunderstood. Gargano and LeRae are like, he literally kidnapped you. He should literally be in jail right now. And then they look to Indy Hartwell, and she's like, yeah, but he's kind of hot. And I died a little inside. A little piece of my soul just fell out of my ass. please don't do this. Please, I hope, if the Twitter is going to explode about anything, I hope it's this. The Way is good. Austin Theory is good, despite what, some people say, completely unprovable accusations should not ruin a person's life. Moving on. And he's a good wrestler. And him and Gargano are a good tag team. So there's a lot of good there. And they got screwed in the Dusty Classic, so let's fix that too. Grimes tries to do the $1 million thing again with a couple of other people. Really, really tall chick that's like twice his size out dribbles him and steals his money, and he freaks out and he's yelling at the $1 Million Man, who's not here, saying you're not better than Cameron Grimes. Really, really good match that I expected to be good, match that was incredibly good, match that was more than I thought it was going to be, so it all works out. Is Casey Catanzaro versus Xia Li. They put a pretty decent package together showing the history between Catanzaro, Carter, Xia Li, Boa, and Tian Sha. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's fine. I really thought that Xia Li was just going to come in and kill her. And it was short. Let me tell you that it was short. But she didn't exactly kill her, and Catanzaro is fucking amazing. Not that Xia Li is not, but it's just... And it's... I've said it before, we've all been saying it for weeks, but this just is full Mortal Kombat. And it's ridiculous, and I love it. Boot and body shots by Casey to start the match, a head scissor and a hangman by Lee. Casey eats a turnbuckle, there's a mud hole by Lee, and a vertical suplex, modified choke by Lee, more shots to the midsection and back to the choke. Snap bear by Casey, a boot and a drop toe hold, and some more corner shots. Shotgun drop kick by Casey. Lee tosses Casey face first into the plexi and then the steps on the outside. She gets her down by the steps, side stomps the knee, drags her back into the ring by her head, because that's the theme of the night. Goes to pin her, keeps beating her down instead, and the referee calls the match. Second match in a row called off because somebody was just dead. Gargano was one of them, unfortunately. Casey Catanzaro, I think I said it last week even, that she was going to Ziggler for Xia Li, and that's exactly what she did. Kaden Carter's obviously overlooking her friend, overlooking her partners, tries to step halfway up the ramp and get in Tian Sha's face. Boa gets in the way, blocking her off, but she tells her off sort of from the midway of the ramp. Tian Sha raises her hand, gives a signal to Xia Li, who kicks Casey Catanzaro's head off, like Casey Catanzaro's not already having a really bad night. Everybody wins here. Everybody wins here, and it is ridiculously cliche. Casey Catanzaro is the smallest person on the roster, so the fact that she goes in there and ragdolls and does it well and still looks good in the loss, because she's the plucky underdog. I know people hate that, but it's true. And her slightly edgier, slightly more badass friend is going to go probably do the next thing next week and probably suffer the same fate, let's be real. We've maintained the mystique of this mysterious person at the top of the ramp who we don't really know much about other than the animated history lesson that we got, which was awesome. Boa is still just a bouncer, which is fine, and Xia Li looks like $1 million. Throw Xia Li in there with Raquel Gonzalez and Toni Storm as people that I legitimately want to see go up against Io Shirai in a couple of weeks or in a couple of months, because right now she's still in that phase of this new persona where she's having matches, but they're just long squashes. I want to see her go in a match where where the end is not in sight type thing. I want to see her have one challenge that's a decent, like, strung out challenge before she goes up against Io Shirai. But if Xia Li, if this Mortal Kombat shit, if Shang Tsung descends from the ceiling and decides, you know what, finish her, yes, I'm doing the gimmick, it's fine. I'm okay with that, as long as they don't take Io Shirai to the main roster. Let's have a moment of mourning for the announcement that Rhea Ripley will soon be debuting on Raw. It was nice knowing you. We go to the back once again. Regal's still waiting for Escobar, who's not there. We see a video package hyping up the Dusty Rhodes Classic win by Kai and Gonzalez and everything that happened with them and the tag team champions last week and the match that's happening next week. And I mean, they have to bring those titles to SmackDown. You got those two. You got Ember Moon and Shotzi. You've got the girls from The Way. You've got Catanzaro and Carter. You've got Cora Jade and Gigi Dolan. You've got Xia Li and Tian Sha. there's more women's tag team division on NXT than there is on both other shows combined. If they don't do it next week, I'm going to be upset. And I'm going to say some bad things about NXT. That's all I got. Grimes approaches somebody in the parking lot. He's all flustered because the trick hasn't worked. He says, just dribble. Basically, he doesn't swear, but basically, if it was me doing his thing, just dribble the fucking ball already. I'll give you the money. You dribble the fucking ball. He's like, oh, you're doing the $1 Million Man thing, eh? And the guy dribbles the ball once, and Grimes punches him in the face. He's like, nobody's smarter than Cameron Grimes. Straight to the moon, and $1 Million Man can kiss my grits. I'm like, okay. It was a miss. I'm sorry, most people aren't going to agree with me. The Cameron Grimes shit was a miss this week. The Cameron Grimes shit and the Dexter Lumis shit were way off this week. Everything else, I pretty much love. And I even love this, because this should be a squash, and it wasn't. The Grizzled Young Veterans versus Dane and Maverick. Grizzled Young Veterans come out on the mic bragging about what they just did to MSK. MSK aren't getting their title shot next week, apparently, because Wesley broke his hand in their attack. They've got a fine. They've been fined, but they still have a match tonight. And I thought they were going to say, we've got a match next week, and they took the spot, but they didn't do that, so I don't know what they're going to do with this. But it's Grizzled Young Veterans versus Dane and Maverick, and Dane and Maverick are a comedy duo until they're not, because they've got a dynamic that works. And Barrett on commentary constantly burying, basically saying that Drake Maverick is making Killian Dane a pussy, when really Killian Dane likes using other people as weapons, and it happens so much in this match. Dane and Drake start the match. There's a heavy drop kick by Dane, which is awesome. Obviously, Gibson does the soon to be recognized, and I can't do accents, it's fine. But anyways, Dane starts off with, like I say, a running heavy dropkick. There's a trip by Maverick. Dane hits Drake with Maverick, which is fine. Maverick works the arm, transitioning it into an actual wrestling match. Lariat by Gibson, double choke out of the ring by Dane on both members of the Grizzled Young Veterans. Dane tosses Maverick over the ropes onto the Grizzled Young Veterans as we go to commercial break, and NXT rolls on. Oh, by the way, we don't get picture-in-picture in Canada, but I'll take it. Irish whip by Gibson as we come back from the commercial break. Lariats for everybody by Dane, followed by a big, release exploder type thing. When you're fighting Dane, and Dane's that big, and he just throws you across the ring, eventually you don't know what to call it anymore. Dane throws Gibson into Drake. Hey! Fall-away slam to both men, running senton by Dane. Low drop kick, high drop kick combination by Maverick. Drop kick, mic check combination by the Grizzled Young Veterans. Suicide dive by Drake, which just seemed really unnecessary. Toss off the top by Gibson. Ticket to mayhem on Drake Maverick, obviously, because he's the small guy. Grizzled Young Veterans get the win. And Killian Dane basically checking on him, making sure he's all right, because he is playing the little brother to Killian Dane, but they're doing it relatively well. And he carries him off. Like, it's just going to be the gimmick that he just has to carry him back every week. He uses him as a weapon in the match. He has to carry him back after the match is over. Now, what I will say, I don't like the sort of asides during matches to announce other matches that NXT is in the habit of doing recently. But basically, we get it confirmed that Storm versus SHIRAI is happening in 2 weeks. Which is kind of surprising, because I know a lot of people, and I'm going to try and be objective about this and not shit on AEW. Even though AEW signed the Big Show, guys! Anyway, a lot of cynical people will say, oh, they're just going to stack up next week's episode of NXT with all these title matches. You got 2 tag team title matches. Oh, I bet they're going to put the women's title match on there too, because, they got to go up against Cody versus Shaq. So now we took a title match off that show, and the women's title match isn't happening until the week after. So, yeah, the opposite of that mentality. SHIRAI versus Storm will be good. It'll be a coming out party again for Storm. I know Storm struggles to resonate with a lot of people. I like her. I just think she's fun. Would I rather a couple of other people in there? Would I rather Ember or Shotzi or even Xia Li in there? Maybe Mercedes Martinez getting one more shot. For the match, yes. For the characters that I like, give Toni Storm another shot. When they brought Toni Storm over the first time, they brought her over as the babyface to go up against Rhea Ripley, who was already a super babyface, and that didn't work. And I don't think she's ever really recovered from that. So I'm happy to see her get what she's going to get. Now, that being said, in 2 weeks, she's not going to become the NXT Women's Champion. I hate to tell you, because that's going to go to Gonzalez eventually. Which means that Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez are going to have to win those titles and then lose them relatively quickly, because we don't want to do the double up singles champ is also a doubles champ thing that they like to do on the main roster a lot. Now, I will say though, seeing as we're talking about what will soon be the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships, I do have to mention the fact that Nia Jax has pinned both the Raw and the SmackDown Women's Champion in the span of less than a week. That's pretty bad. I mean, but one of them is Sasha Banks, so I don't really care. How fucking pointless was that tag team match at the Elimination Chamber? Was it absolutely pointless? Yes, it was. It was absolutely pointless. Moving on. Legado del Fantasma arrive. And I've said for weeks now that Boa is just a bouncer. Wilde and Mendoza literally came and stood on either side of the door of Escobar's car like bouncers, which was good. We go to the back where Killian Dane is carrying Drake Maverick's lifeless corpse into the medics area and looking for a doctor and whatever, and he gets confronted by Alexander Wolf, which I think is really, really cool. It doesn't make me care about Imperium anymore, because Imperium, other than Walter himself, Imperium's kind of a dead fish at this point. But it was cool to see, out of Sanity, Nikki Cross is on the main roster, Alexander Wolf is in NXT UK, Killian Dane is still in NXT. It is cool to see these guys kind of acknowledge each other and have Alexander Wolf sort of do the, what happened to you? Where's the Beast of Belfast? And then kind of fuck it off. That wasn't a good accent at all. It's something and nothing. It is them acknowledging. It's hard for them to acknowledge the Sanity thing, though, because Nikki Cross is in such a different place now, and because Eric Young is literally in a different place now with a brand new version of basically Impact Sanity over in Impact. Didn't watch Impact this week. Watched it last week. Saw Josh Alexander versus TJP. That was really, really good. Am I a little bit biased because Josh Alexander is also the Destiny World Champion? Check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list. Yes. Yes, I am. We see what's supposed to be Karrion Kross versus Santos Escobar. We see a split screen. We see a shot of the car, and we see a shot of where Karrion Kross is making his entrance in the arena, except he's not. He jumps Escobar in the lot. They brawl around the lot. Escobar tries to hide in the cab of a truck. Now, I did have a brief glitch on my TV. Apparently, he slammed down the rolling door of the truck on him at one point. I didn't see that, so somebody please correct me down in the box below. When I got it back, Escobar was hiding in the cab of the truck. Wilde and Mendoza try to help him out, and they get owned. Trash can attacked by Escobar sets up a 3-on-1 beatdown. They start slamming him into the side of the truck and then carrying him into the CWC. Cross tosses Mendoza and Wilde through the plexi because they're just throwing things, aren't they? Cross eats the post shoulder first and then eats the steps on the outside as we go to the commercial break, and NXT rolls on. Coming back from the commercial break, there's a running dropkick by Escobar. He puts the arm in the chair, shoves the chair into the post, and then stomps on the arm. Are they telling a story with Karrion Kross's arm? I wonder. DDT on the open face of the chair by Escobar on the outside of the low dropkick. There's double team by Wilde and Mendoza again, but there's a suicide drive by Escobar to break all that up. Escobar pins the wrist, stomps the arm, and then elbow drops the muscle of the arm, which is nice. Followed up with a arm scissor by Escobar, double knees in the corner, cradle suplex by Kross with the good arm, I guess. He's trying to get some adrenaline back. Also, his lady has showed up at ringside. That would give us, and if Scarlett was your lady, if Scarlett was my lady, we'd all be a little bit more enthused, would we not? Cradle suplex by Kross, a tackle into the steps by Escobar, a boot by Kross, who misses with a chair shot. Escobar had his head down on the steel steps, and it was going to be a guillotine shot, right straight down, and he misses, obviously, so you can get the nasty metal on metal sound that would have been goopy bits of skull, would it not? Kross he slams Mendoza on the floor and then sort of picks up Wilde and power bombs him against the plexi. Saito suplex. Oh, this is good. They kick the steps over to the commentator's desk. They climb up on the lower, wider portion of the steps, and from the steps to the commentator's desk. He hits a Saito suplex with his good arm, puts him back in the ring. Saito suplex again, hits him with the hidden blade, which is apparently that elbow shot from the back. It's kind of like the Judas effect, except better. Moving on, and he gets the win. He didn't do the cross jacket. He didn't win with a Saito suplex. I like that hidden blade thing. It does require your opponent to intentionally turn their back on you in the closing moments of a match, which is a bit problematic. So if you're going to do it, you need to do it a bit faster. But also, he's had his arm mutilated for the past 10 minutes, so it's fine. Kross gets the obvious win. This was a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. Again, it's like the Xia Li, Casey Catanzaro thing before. I thought it was just going to be a quick murder, and it wasn't, and it was fun. You could justify the match going long because it was 3-on-1. You could justify the win because KARRION Kross is a fucking monster. He's going to be back in the title picture sooner or later. That's going to be fine. Either that or he's going to kill Johnny Gargano. See, take Loomis out, put Kross in, I would be fine with KARRION Kross killing Johnny Gargano. That would be really good. But no, we got Kross doing this. I don't know who challenges Escobar, but of course Escobar is dead right now. But yeah, throw Kross in with Gargano. What would be a really good story would be William Regal coming to him and being like, hey, that was a non-title match, but you did just beat a champion. I can't give you a chance at his championship because you're not a cruiserweight. I will give you a shot at another championship. There's Gargano. He's an annoying prick. Go handle him for me. Now, unfortunately, that would mean probably Loomis and Theory, which doesn't really get my wrestling heart all a pitter-patter either, but lesser of two evils, whatever it is. LA Knight, I don't know what the hell that was. That was me rambling off at the end. LA Knight gives us a promo from his car on his phone, talks about how all the fans are bugging him about when he's going to debut. Basically says, I'm going to debut whenever I want, which is great. Adam Cole comes out, and this is the main event, which is interesting. I don't know that I would have switched them out or not, but they put Adam Cole at the end. And this is where I found out that Sportsnet 360 here in Canada is giving us the NXT overrun, which is nice. He comes out to the ring, he watches his actions from last week. Normally they would play it on the TV for us to see, but we're watching him watch his own actions from last week as the commentators quietly mention that Kyle has some swelling in his discs. And he's got some swelling in his discs. He's going to be out from 6 to 8 weeks. What I would have really loved, right, and the promo went slightly a different way. If it was okay with Kyle O'Reilly, I would have had Adam Cole come out here and be like, how do you know I'm not, how do you not know that I'm the shit by now? How do you not know that I run this place? Kyle, you were one of my best friends, and I beat you down so bad last week that the internet thought you had a seizure. Oh yes, but they didn't do that. They went a slightly different way. Adam Cole was really, the parts of this that were over dramatic made sense at the end, if that makes sense. I was going to explain myself, but watching myself on the screen, I just got sick to my stomach. Everybody knows, especially the guys in the Undisputed Era know how important the NXT Championship is to me, but I don't like who I've become. I'm pissed off. I was pissed off that Kyle got so many chances and failed us. I'm ashamed of my actions. Kyle, I wish you were here right now. I wish I could say this to your face. I hate myself for what I've done. I was wrong. I made a mistake. I'm sorry, and I promise you I'm going to fix this. Roderick Strong at this point comes out as the exacerbated, third friend. Now you feel bad? You didn't feel bad 10 days ago when you, destroyed Kyle? Everything's changed now. There's no trust. You've shattered that trust. There's no going back. Kyle's, you know how Kyle is. Kyle's going to heal one day, and I'm not sure that I can save him or save you from him. Balor comes out. He's tired of the shit. He's got a beeline set for the ring, so much that Strong tries to get in his way, and he just one-hands him into the wall, which is fine. He tries to maul Cole for a little bit. Then, as Strong's getting up on the outside, he goes back and attacks Strong on the outside. Cole comes out to pull Balor off of Strong. Cole attacks Balor with a super kick. Strong comes into the ring, pissed off as all hell, and lariats Cole. And then they both sort of collect themselves. They both sort of go head to head, face to face. What's going on here? We got to fix this. We got to save this. Da 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 da. And then they hug. And I thought they were going to go this weird direction where Cole hasn't turned heel. He's just sort of having a mental breakdown. But then all my worries about that were set at ease with the insanely acted low blow that he hits on Roderick Strong. Basically says, it was so cool. This was right out of a really melodramatic movie, and I will admit that, but I love it. You guys know I love the cheesy shit when it's good. He looks at him, while he's doubled over because he just got punched in the nuts, tells him he's dead to him, rips the Undisputed Era tags off of his neck, and super kicks him one more time to end the show. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Brand new star in Arya Stark. Yeah, there we go, Game of Thrones again. Zoe Stark. Brand new stars in MSK. Clearly they see something in MSK. The women are killing it. NXT is going to get those tag team championships next week. We've got a women's title match set up for 2 weeks from now. KARRION KROSS is a killer. We've got an amazing main event story with the absolute shattering of the Undisputed Era. It's all really good. It just is. I'm really glad that I got an episode like this on the week that Canada finally got proper NXT, not shitty streams, not 1 hour cut down versions 2 days later when everything worth talking about has already been talked about. Xia Li is doing great in her role. Casey Canzaro and Caden Carter are sort of reinforcing that they have a definite role to play in this division as well, which I think is really cool. The Loomis stuff I could do without. The Grimes stuff is still good. It just didn't hit this week for me, personally. So sort of 1.5 gripes with the show, and I enjoyed the rest. Grizzled Young Veterans are still great. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the tag titles shot next week, if it's going to happen at all. I'm sort of interested to see where the Alexander Wolf and Killian Dane thing goes, because if Alexander Wolf is just going to go and attack Drake Maverick, I don't know that has my interest very much. But if Alexander Wolf's just going to come out and punk him out, and Killian Dane's going to kill him, and then Walter's going to come out, and then we get Walter versus Killian Dane, and I get really, really, really happy about things, and then that's a monster fight that gets interrupted by Karrion Kross that says, fuck you guys, I'm really the monster. This is the kind of stuff you can have on NXT when you're not full of old fucks like Sting and Dusty Rhodes and fucking Shaq and Mike Tyson 20 years after that was relevant, and Snoop Dogg trying to do a splash. And correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Blanchard fighting tonight? Didn't they just hire the Big Show for their secondary YouTube show? Yeah, I'm going to stick with NXT. Anyways, I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, take it out. Bye, guys.